Hello, YouTube. Mic check. It is GZTV back with another video. And in this video, we are going to be discussing and doing an album, like a retro album review on the 2014 Travis Scott album. You know, the hype up album leading up to Rodeo. This is one of Travis's big breaks. A star-studded lineup here. Just the prequel. I mean, it's pretty much his debut album. A lot of people treat it as that way. Days before Rodeo, man, I'm excited to talk about this. I have a lot to say. I'm quite passionate about this project. This is some classic early Travis Scott. Cannot wait to talk about it. I can't stress that enough. This is going to be a fire video. It's probably going to be longer than the Alfaro one. Yet there's only 12 tracks on here. One of them is a bonus. So really on the original release, there was 11 tracks. So, you know, we're going to go by track, kind of talk about the overview of the album, all this stuff, and then I'm going to give it a rating. Again, I said in the last video I don't like to give ratings, but here we go. Let's go track by track. Track number 1 is Days Before Rodeo, The Prayer, and by the way, I have my little bootleg CD I got on eBay here. This is a perfect intro to a record. I mean, Wonder Girl produced this. Wonder Girl and Travis Scott having worked together for so long. It's got like this church vibe. It's got this very harsh vibe with these organs. It makes you feel all sorts of way while listening to it. This is kind of him, you know, blessing the mixtape. There's really nothing wrong with this song. I love everything. It's pretty much a flawless song. The rapping, the production. Not much more to say. Mamacita is obviously one of the more popular, one of the more chart topping. It's kind of like the upper echelon of this album. It's not quite, you know, the best track on here, but you know, Rich Homie Quan, pretty big rapper at the time. This album's like a timepiece. It's like a hip-hop time capsule, you know. It's really interesting to see what was popping at the time, you know, saying the word finesse on Quintana Part 2. We'll get to that. You know, the production is dope. It's a bit overplayed. It's okay. I guess, you know, Young Thug's on here. I don't really have much to say about that track. Moving on to Quintana Part 2. It's a sequel to another song we covered, obviously off of Alfaro. You know, we talked about Alfaro yesterday. If you guys want to go check that video out, it's up on my recent videos. You know, all the live streams pretty much are under the live section, and the live streams are like the TV show talks, you know, some of the music stuff I do. But most of the, like, the big edited, the grand releases and stuff, the highly talked about stuff is here. Believe it or not, T.I. is on this kind of as a hidden feature. You don't expect that going into the song. You know, Travis Scott, we know he has his ways with hidden features with Astroworld. You know, finesse was a big word at the time in hip-hop. Kind of cringy looking back on it, but yeah. The beat switch, obviously perfect for T.I., and something I noticed listening through this project was Travis Scott utilized the features flawlessly. The intro is just amazing, one of the best, or the outro is like one of the best things on this album. Definitely better than the first one. I guess, you know, the bar's not very high. You guys know my thoughts on the first one, but yeah. The next song, track number 4, is Drugs, You Should Try It. I mean, this is the one that a lot of people take from this project. This is like the holy grail of Days Before Rodeo. It's a druggy, romantic experience, you know, kind of laid back, but there's so much kind of interwoven into this track. It is based off a JB song. Travis Scott has actually cited, it's been cited that Travis Scott is a big Justin Bieber fan, actually. And, you know, at the time, Justin Bieber was a popping artist. No pun intended. And for pretty good reasons. He had some bangers under his belt, no doubt about it. There was an uncleared sample on this track, and I'm sure there was uncleared samples on the rest of the album, which is one of the main reasons why this album didn't get put on streaming services, and it stays as a SoundCloud, you know, maybe YouTube exclusive. I don't think it's on his YouTube channel. But yeah, shout out to Drugs, You Should Try It. It's an amazing song. The next track, track 5, is Don't Play. It's my favorite song on here. I know it's kind of a weird song to say is your favorite when we have tracks like Drugs, You Should Try It, but there's a lot of dope samples here, you know, with the 1975 being on here. Just a hype song in general. This is perfect for a concert. Big Sean sounds amazing, like some of his best rapping. One of my favorite guest verses of Big Sean. I know I'm not a huge Big Sean fan, and I don't really talk about him on the channel, but yeah. Track 6 is Skyfall, one of the first major Metro Boomin and T. Scott collabs. This is kind of like the introduction to the duo. It's one, Yeah, and, I mean, obviously, this is the first album they've worked on together. Metro Boomin has produced other tracks for Travis Scott, obviously, on this album and throughout his career. I mean, these two are, it's one of the best duos of all time, or in trap music, anyway. This song is about older artists falling off by not connecting to the younger generation. It's kind of an interesting message. Travis Scott discussed this in an interview before, so there, I'm laying it out. Drake actually co-signed this track, interestingly enough, and this is one of the first instances of Travis Scott really being shot into the stardom. It's not a great song. It definitely belongs on this album. If it wasn't on this album wouldn't be what it was. The rapping's amazing. The song wanes a bit too long. It's kind of just looming in the air, like the post-chorus and the hook and all that stuff gets repeated about 50 times. But the rapping is awesome from both Thugger and Travis Scott. Zombies is track number 7, kind of like an Al Farrow type of song. Maybe it was a throwaway from that session. That's what it feels like. He's kind of introducing the new era of music on here. The older generation shouldn't, they shouldn't be rapping for any longer. Travis Scott's telling them to get the hell out of the way. It's time for the new generation. A very hypnotic song. The hook, it's addicting. It like lures you into singing it. I don't know. It's crazy what Travis Scott can do with his music. Sloppy Toppy is track number 8. It's kind of like the posse cut on the record. All sorts of rappers are doing their thing on here. Kind of gives us a glimpse into what Rodeo has to offer. Because, oh my god, the amount of posse cuts. 2 Chainz on here on tracks with like the Migos, and then you have like Maria, I'm Drunk. Travis, that's the album Rodeo, where Travis became a very big collabing man. Obviously, his earlier mixtapes had a lot of features on them, but this is like a glimpse into what's to come in the future. Another really dope sample. I didn't necessarily like this song when I first heard it, but on this re-review, I love it. I don't know how you produce this beat, and some of the instances on this track are just like out of this damn world. I don't know. It's interesting to hear the Migos on a beat like this as well, and obviously Pee Wee Longway did his thing on here. Basement Freestyle was kind of inspired by Kendrick's song of the same name. You guys kind of know that, Backseat Freestyle. They have like the same themes and whatnot. It's probably one of the weaker tracks on here. I love the Kendrick Lamar ode, but I don't really get behind the song too much. Backyard, kind of him rapping about his newfound fame. Him and Logic, interestingly enough, both used the Marvin Gaye sample around the same time. It was a bit of a controversial track, pretty talked about, and I obviously have what the hell is that album called by Logic? I can't remember, with like the astronauts around him. What the hell? I can't remember. I have the vinyl up there on my shelf. I love that album. Both like really good sample usages, by the way. I'm not going to shame one or the other. But it was said that they talked to each other about it, and it was pretty much planned. It's just a great song. You can't really say much about it. Gray, he actually wrote this about a friend who ended up in prison, making bad decisions. A very dope homage to him, like very sentimental. It's an awesome vibe. The beat is awesome. He was rapping his ass off on here, man. Let me tell you. Overall, on this album, this is some of Travis Scott's best rapping ever. Probably ever. Like, I'm not even joking. His flows, his lyrics, I don't know. It was just awesome. It was a great experience from a rap fan standpoint. But Back is a bonus track, the last track we are going to talk about here. Trying to kind of hype people up for Rodeo. It's another iffy track, though. This is kind of like a play into Rodeo, this final track. But I don't really have much to say about anything else here on the song, so let's get into the album overview. Getting into the album overview, this is kind of where I give you guys my general thoughts on the album. Trav knows how to get straight to the point with this album. There's no filler. There's just 12 tracks of just trap greatness on here. I'm gonna talk about what the album rating is at the end of the video when we do our outro. We'll get to that. The features and stuff. I don't really have much to say about this, honestly. I might just give you guys the rating of the album right now. I don't think the general notes will be that crazy. It's another gem from early Travis Scott, and for people that are hating on his current feature run, I like. That's not the reason I'm making these videos, by the way. I don't want that agenda to be made. But yeah, if you're ever doubting this man, go back and listen to his first two albums, like where he's at his best and his most prideful and his most passionate in the music industry. Just an awesome experience. I mean, this album is great. And now we're just gonna talk about the rating. I don't have much to say. I'm giving this album a mid 7 out of 10. I think it's pretty decent and it hangs well with a lot of the other Travis Scott projects. I don't think it's an Alfaro, just a notch below, but I still really like this project. I don't have anything to say. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know, GZTV always doing these retro album review. Well, not always. We just kind of started doing this on the channel with like the Uzi rollout. Anytime an artist plans on rolling something out, I can go back, use that opportunity doing a retro album. And there's still like 3 Travis albums I haven't talked about on this channel. We talked about Rodeo, but there's still Birds in the Trap Sing McKnight, there's still Huncho Jack, there's still Astroworld, still a lot of Travis Scott material. So if you're a big Travis Scott fan, click the noti bell, be on the lookout for more Travis Scott reviews as the Utopia rollout wanes on. We got about 17 days until the album's supposed to drop. Really excited for that, but yeah. I also have other gaming content, music, movies, TV shows on here, so check that out. But I am out. Peace.